Hello, I am your Rusame reader, Crowsong, and today I will be reading to you from Royal Guard by Muriel Wright. Now, on to Chapter 9, Drunk. They both sat on the cold, hard marble ground. The prince placed the two wine glasses on the ground with a clink. He easily unscrewed the top of the wine bottle and poured it into the two glasses. The aroma of the wine could be sensed from a mile away. Russia knew that the wine was incredibly strong. Even if it was strong, it smelled really pleasing. America pushed a full glass of wine to his guard. "Congratulations on your win today." He lifted his own glass. They clinked their glasses together and finished it in one gulp. "God, this stuff is hella strong." The American picked up the wine bottle and analyzed the label. He was already starting to get tipsy. "Well, whatever." He just shrugged and poured another glass for the both of them. They both drank it again. Eventually, by the fifth glass, the prince was drunk already, due to how strong it was. "My mom's workers do really make the strongest wine," America mumbled as his face continually turned redder and redder. "I bet my face is red already," the prince giggled, clearly drunk. "That's enough wine." Russia pushed away the bottle and both glasses. "How are you not drunk?" America slurred and pressed his face onto the palm of his hand. "I'm just a heavyweight," the other answered nonchalantly. His words were clear and his movements were normal. The other sat back down on the floor next to his prince. "It's cold here. I want to move to the bed." The prince whined and giggled. He flailed his arms around. "Okay." The Russian picked up the prince with ease in his arms and plopped him down gently on the bed. "Sit with me." America held onto his sleeve as the tricolored country was about to leave. "Is that an order?" America thought for a while. Yes," he finally replied in a cheerful tone. The Russian sighed and sat on the other side of the bed, away from the prince. He kicked off his shoes already. They both sat in silence for a while. The prince fidgeted with his fingers as the other just sat there with a neutral and cold face. Finally, the American turned his head towards the other and slowly crawled towards him. "What are you doing?" The guard's eyes widened. He was going to jump out of the bed, but then remembered his order was so he couldn't move. Russia's hand instinctively extended, gesturing to the prince to stop moving closer. America only furrowed his eyebrows and licked his hand. The guard's hand jerked back. The Russian didn't know what would happen to himself if he let the prince get any closer. Even though he wasn't drunk, his face was really red. The prince decided to hide beneath the covers. He wriggled around for a while, then pounced at Russia, holding the blanket in both arms. He wrapped his arms around his guard's stomach near his waist. The American's head popped out of the covers. Russia's face was even redder, and his eyes were as wide as an apple. The American started to snuggle up to him, pressing his cheek on the other's stomach. "Prince, what are you doing?" he said with a slightly panicked tone. "I just want to hug you. I want to hug back." The prince pouted. I'm not good with this stuff." How about you just rub my head like you did that one time in the library? He said with a wide dorky smile on his face. You were awake? I was. America giggled a little and snuggled up more. Ah, The Russian turned his head away, covering his blushing face with the side of his hand. I thought you said you didn't get drunk. Your face is really red. It's, different. He turned back to the smaller country. Somehow, throughout the entire thing, he had still maintained a neutral face, despite growing redder than a tomato. They both sat there in silence. Russia was internally panicking, while America was just hugging him tighter and cuddling. Hey, Russia, America suddenly broke the silence. Am I a bad prince? Why so sudden? The Russian raised his eyebrow. He looked down. The prince's face truly seemed sorrowful. Am I really a good-for-nothing prince? Tears welled up in his ocean blue eyes despite the slight difference in shade. They swiftly slid down his face as he sobbed in silence. His guard was caught off guard. Hey, he stammered a little. Despite how strong and cheerful and arrogant the prince always looked, was this how he truly felt? Like people say, drunken words are the sober thoughts. You're a good prince. How do you know? Everything everyone says about me is basically the same thing. His grip tightened. Throughout the time I've spent with you, I've seen how kind and talented you are. Don't listen to what the townspeople say. Russia placed his hand on the other's head and ruffled his hair. The American let out a small chuckle. What's wrong with wanting a little freedom? Nothing. It's just them. The taller one slowly moved his back and rubbed circles around it. I don't know how much longer I can keep up a face. America sobbed silently. Russia sat there in silence for a few seconds. Don't. You can tell me when anything is bothering you. I'll protect you, I promise. I'm not really good at comforting, so I'm just saying my honest opinion. His monotone voice rang in the other's ear. Despite always having the same boring tone, right now it's the only thing the American wanted to hear. Thank you. The prince leaned upwards, going closer to the other's face. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Both of them jumped in surprise. America's mother, France, popped her head into the room. She saw America silently sleeping, facing away from her. No sign of Russia. France just wanted to check in on America, since he just disappeared suddenly. There was nothing else to see, so she closed the door and left back to the party. America's eye peeked open. How did I do? He giggled and sat up. Russia sat up from next to the bed. Does your back hurt? America asked worriedly, since it was so sudden, so Russia just rolled down next to the bed and slammed his back on the floor. It's fine. I heard it hit say on the bed, didn't I? America slurred and giggled. Yes, Forgive me. America was back to his drunken self, as if all of the crying had never happened. As a punishment, let's sit in the same way before, but for the whole night. You're a nice pillow. I will accept the punishment. He sat back on the bed, in the same position. The prince wrapped his arms around the other and slowly drifted to sleep, while the other, not so much. He couldn't sleep a wink with the thought of the prince right there. Usually doing any punishment was no problem, but why was he having so much trouble with this one? And that is the end of this chapter. I hope you have enjoyed. Now, I once again invite you to join the Discord. I once again apologize for the confusion of the Discord. We now have a RuPaul's Drag Race thing because of last night. Now we have a whole section of the chat just dedicated to it came from voice chat. If you have any questions about what the heck happened in voice chat, ask and one of us will try to answer you. So that's all I have for today. Also, I have a little plushy frog that I made, and a cat I made on Friday. I hope you've enjoyed. Bye!